So let's start the class. So yesterday our last topic was, what was our last topic? While loop. We covered while loop. So today we'll continue with the do while loop and for loop. So before that, let's do a quick exercise on printing a pyramid. Okay. So how do you want to print this? Suppose we want to print our pyramid like this. So what are our variables? Total rows. How many total rows are there in this? In this example? 5? 5 rows. 3 rows. Okay. Chalo, we'll take 5 rows. Total number of rows are 5. Okay. And with the first row, so we'll use while loop to print the rows starting from 1. So let's name it current row equal, it will start from 1 and we have to print till current row is less than equal to total rows. Okay. So yesterday we have seen what is our syntax of while loop. While condition. There should be a condition. Condition is an expression. Condition should be an expression which will always give Boolean result. Here if you see, if I want to use another expression or another statement, it will fail. So the target type of the expression must be a function interface. So doing like this is not allowed because it should be an expression which should always give you a Boolean result. You are getting it? I showed you, right? Okay. So there should only be one condition and which will always give you a Boolean result. Okay. So now this while loop will be used to print number of rows. Now each row, the number of stars for the first row would be 1 and number of spaces for the first row would be how many spaces for the first row? 4. So we will need one more loop to print the rows and spaces, stars and spaces. So we'll start with, so every counter will start from 1. So like the first row there will be 1 star which will be printed, and for the first row 4 spaces, 1 2 3 4 4 spaces would be printed. So the current space count should always be 1 and current, it should be 1. Now tell me, for the first iteration, right, how many stars I have to print? 1. And spaces 4. And then we know for each iteration we have to increase the number of stars by 1 and number of spaces we have to decrement by 1. Okay. So in the here at the last, the stars should be increased by 1 and the spaces should be decremented by 1. Got it? So now this while loop will use to print stars. Okay. And there will be another while loop will be required to print spaces. Okay. So here what would be our condition? Current space count, which will start with 1, should always be less than equal to the stars which we are incrementing with each of the iteration. Yes or no? Right? So now we'll print it. Okay. Now to print space, Sorry. Space between what? It is there, double inverted quotes, right? It is there. Should I maximize the screen more? Like it's already maximized. That's why like I'll sit in front now. You are not able to see the screen. Double quote is there at the start. Okay. And now here, what is wrong here? To print space. Are you finding anything wrong or is it right? Huh? What is wrong here? Come on. I have to print spaces. Here it should be spaces. Simple. You have to print spaces 4 times. Now we'll print one new line character where Java provides us this method .println which will create a new line character. And what else is wrong here? We have not used current star count, right? Yes or no? It should be current star count, na? Yes? Should we run it? Oh, it is executing infinitely. Why? What is wrong here? What is wrong here? It's running infinitely because there is no terminating condition. What is the terminating condition here? Total rows are 5. Huh? Start is current row is 1. This would be a terminating condition when current row becomes less than equal to, like when current row becomes more than total rows. Current row is this. Come on. Come on. Why it is not terminating? Very good. We have not incremented this current row. It is always 1, right? See. It's not working. What is wrong? What spaces? Terminating condition of this outer while loop is corrected. What about inner while loops? You have to increment those also, right? Now we are getting how important these terminating conditions are. How should we increment, decrement? How does it matter? Should we run it? Perfect. Right? Now let's start with a next block, a do while loop. Like what portion? I can explain multiple times, but you have to tell me what thing you are not getting so that I'll be more precise. What? This one, right? Why are we using this while loop? So why we are using total rows is 5? Why? Anyone? No, these are the rows. These are total rows, right? What if I want to print like this? What will be total rows now? Okay. Current row y 1 y with 1. Simple. Why stars is 1 and spaces is 4? Okay. Okay. Now let's do study about do while loop. Yes. No, tell me, like if any doubt, tell me. Don't worry. because all those things, they won't be clarified in your online or any of the things. That's why you are attending offline, right? To make better use of it. Huh? Huh? Program. One more time. Okay. But you have to answer it. That's why I keep on asking the questions. You all have to answer it. It doesn't matter whether it is right or wrong, just answer it, because then only the things would be clarified. What we are printing here, a pyramid. Total rows should be, to print this 5 rows, what should we know? What should we need? What do we need? A while loop, which should run how many times? In this case, 5 times, starting from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we can keep this, we can update this value 10, 12, anything. That's why we kept this variable, right? Now we have to start the value from 1 to total rows. So one more variable we need, current row y, to denote what? To denote what? Here, what is the value of current row? Here, 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 4, 5. Okay. We know now we have to increment the current row after each iteration. Yes or no? And what should be our terminating condition? When should this while loop should stop printing the star? When it reaches till 5, it has to print, and it reaches more than 5, and it will go at the 6th, it should stop, right? That's what we have mentioned here, this thing, this loop. Yes or no? And here, why we are incrementing it? After one iteration, it denotes second row or third row, fourth row, like this. You got the purpose why we are using outer loop. Now we have to print star and spaces. These are also repeating. Yes or no? So what we will use for repetition? What we use? While loop. We use while loop to print star and one while loop to print spaces. And in a single row, we will print stars multiple times as well as spaces multiple times in a single row. Okay. So that's why we have used nested while loop. In the first row, how many stars we have to print and how many spaces? It means in the first iteration, the while loop which we will use to print star, how many times it should run? 1. And the while loop which is printing spaces, how many times it should run? 4. So see, here for the first row, we have made sure that this loop will run 1 time. How we have made sure it will run only once? 1. This stars, we kept it 1. Yes or no? Right? And here, how we have made sure that it should run 4 times? Spaces is 4. Right? I can give you the code, like don't write it, don't type it. I can give you the code. Understand it. This na? So how it will work? Now tell me. Now it's the first iteration. Okay, let's debug it. Now tell me what is the value of the current star count here and the spaces. What is the condition? What is the condition here? What are the values at this point? Is it true? It will go inside this block? Yes or no? What it will do? How many times it will print space? No, it will print 1 na. It has print 1 space, right? And what it has done? Why? Huh? Tell. Right. Now in the while loop, it will again check for the condition. Now what's the condition here? No, don't confuse with space star count na. I did it this should be like this. Yes. What logic? Sorry, I couldn't get your question. No, I just changed the variable. The code will run as is. I've just changed the name of the variable, but logic is not changed. So what issue are you getting? Because until you are clear, you won't get the thing. These are very basic iteration. Any doubt? Everyone is clear? So now current space count is become 2 and it will check for spaces as 4. 2 is less than 4, yes, it will again print this block. And we have now increased the space count by 1. Now space count has become 3. It has become 2. It will print space and now we have incremented it. Wait, 1 second. It has not become because I was debugging. I changed the variable and I didn't again restarted the debug. So space count was 1, spaces is 4. It will go inside this, will print 1 space and then increment the space count. The space count will become 2. It will again check 2 is less than equal to 4. Yes, it will again go inside this body, will print the space again, 1 space, and then will increment the space count by 1. Now space count will become 3. 3 is less than equal to 4. Yes, it will again print 1 space and then will increment the space count by 1. It will again check is space count 4 is less than equal to 4. Yes, it will again print 1 space, will increment the space count, and now it will check 5 is less than equal to 4. Yes, no, right? So now it will terminate. This is the terminator condition. Now after printing 4 space, we don't want any more space to print. That's why here it will terminate. Now see, it has terminated. Now it has incremented the stars by 1 so that for next row 1 more star will be printed, and spaces it has decremented by 1 so that in the next row 1 less space should be printed. Right? Got it? Right? So here in this 1, then 4, then 2, then 3, like this. Okay. Let's start with do while. Do while also, it's a control flow statement. It executes a block of code repeatedly until a condition becomes false. The same that we are doing with while, do while also do the same. But what's the major difference? See the syntax. Do. Here we are checking for the condition below. Yes or no? Java will come here. Okay, it found do. It will execute the code. Exactly. And then it will check the condition. Right? So here, unlike the while loop, the do while loop always executes its body at least 1, even if the condition is initially false. Let's suppose this condition always returns false. How many times this do while loop will run? 1. And let's suppose in this while loop If this condition is false, always false, how many times while loop will run? 0. So that's the major difference between do while loop. Everything else is same. So when we should use when should we use do while? When we want the loop to be executed at least once and then check for the condition. In that case we will use do while loop. So here components, what are the components that we are using in do while? The code block, it is the block of code which is enclosed within this. This is the block of code which will be executed, okay, and it is known as the loop body, similar to what we studied with in the while loop. So this code is executed repeatedly until condition becomes false, and this condition is same as the condition that we studied with the while loop. It is a Boolean expression that determines whether the loop body should be executed again, and condition is evaluated after each iteration. In the while loop, the condition was evaluated before the iteration, right? So how it will execute? Let's take an example. Now what it should do? What it is doing? Come on. What it is doing? Huh? What will be the output? It will run, it will execute 1 2 3 4 5. Now how it will go? The code will directly print this. The count is 1, it has not checked for any condition, it will print count. It has print 1, okay. Now it has incremented the count. Now count will become 2. Now what it will do? It will now check this condition, whether 2 is less than equal to 5 or not. Yes, 2 is less than equal to 5. Yes, then again it will go to this block where it will again print a count where the value is 2. It will print 2 and then it will increment the count by 1. Count will become now 3, right? Like this, it will print 3. The count has become 5. Then here it has print 5. It has incremented the count by 1. The value of count will become 6. Now it will terminate or not? Because 6 less than equal to 5, it is false, so it will terminate. It will terminate and it will come to the next line. Any doubt? Perfect. This is what do while loop is. The use is whenever when a body of loop needs to be executed at least once, there you should use a do while loop. And also let's suppose you are validating any user input, so you have to make so as to ensure that user enters valid data at least once. Okay, in that case you have to use do while loop. Okay, so execution we have seen. First of all, a code block is executed first, and then after that the condition is evaluated. If the condition is true, the loop body is executed again, otherwise the loop terminates. Okay. Now comes another statement, which is a for loop. So this for loop is again a control flow statement which allows code to be executed repeatedly for a specified number of iterations. Okay, so here it is particularly useful when number of iterations is known beforehand. Okay, so as we have seen, whatever the question of pyramid we have done using while loop, we can also do using for loop. Okay, but it depends on your convenience, on your logic, whether you want to use for loop or while loop. It depends on your requirement, what do you want to achieve, and then depending on your requirement you can decide whether to use for loop, while loop and do while loop. But the purpose of all these three are to iterate repeatedly. Okay, syntax is this. Here First part should be initialization, then this semicolon should be there, then a condition, then again a semicolon, and then the update. What was there in the while and do while loop? What things did we have? Only condition, right? But here, what for loop is providing us? It is providing initialization as well as any update in the for loop syntax. Do you know the difference? While and for? Let's study what is initialization and other components. So initialization is, it is executed only once before the for loop begins. Okay, and why do we use it? We use it to initialize any control variables, any variables which we want to use in the for loop. Okay, what is condition? Is same as the condition that we discussed in the while and do while loop. It is a Boolean expression that determines whether loop body should be executed. So if condition returns true, the loop body is executed, otherwise the loop terminates. Okay, so condition is checked before executing the loop body. Before executing the loop body, this condition will be checked. So the condition will be checked in do while after the first execution. So here, even for the first time, the condition would be checked same as while or do while? Same as do while? While. And third component, update. What are this update is? It is executed after. Please note, this is executed after every iteration of the loop body. Okay. Why do we use it? We normally use it to update the loop control variables by incrementing or decrementing the values. So we'll do the same pyramid questions with the for loop, and we'll see. Okay, so this is a program for you. So what it is doing, what it will do. Okay, so I have debugging it. So the first, what's the first step that will be done here? Initialization. So this is the first step that will be executed. What it has done, it has declared a variable I and initialized the value 2. So now next, what should be done? Condition. It will check whether 2 is less than or equal to 10. Yes. Now what should it do? Update. It should update. Now value of I will become 4. Now what should it do? After, then last one, this one will be done after. Very good. We just studied, right? See, pay attention. This step is executed after every iteration execution. We just studied. So he is right. So now condition will be checked, and then it will print this statement. So see, it has print 2. Now what will be done? Next step. Update. It will update. What it is doing here? Add 2 plus equal to. You know what plus equal to means here? I plus equal to 2. What it is denoting? I equal to I plus 2. I was 2 here. Now I has become 4. I has become 4. Now what it will do? Print condition. Now it has updated. Now it will check for a condition. Condition 4 less than or equal to 10. Yes. It will print 4. Then it will update. Then it will check for the condition like this. It will print till I becomes more than 10. So here is the output. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Okay. Again, the step of execution would be initialization step is executed first. Will it execute again with each iteration? Yes. Initialization step. Initialization step, right? This, will it execute with each iteration? No, na. So first it will be executed, first and last, like is the first, then it will never execute, and then the condition is evaluated. If condition is true, the body is executed, and after executing the loop body, the update step is executed, and then again condition is evaluated again, and the process repeats until the condition becomes false. Okay. Here each component of the for loop, here each component, how many components we have here? 3. So this each component of the for loop is optional, but the semicolons separate them are required. So what it is saying is, I can do like this. So what does this code means? What it will do? It will print infinitely. Very good. Because now there is no initialization. There is no condition to check. This condition will always be true, and there is no update. If you run it, it will infinitely print high. There is no terminating condition. Okay. So loop control variables declared in the initialization step are scoped to the loop and are only accessible only within the loop body. So what does it mean? Is it correct? I'm printing I. It should work fine. No. Will it work? Like, will it print? No. Why? Yes. Type. Scope means this int I. The Java code only knows this I is a variable inside this block. Once it gets out of this block, it doesn't know about it. It doesn't know about I. If you want to use I, you have to again declare it, initialize it, declare it. Right? So any variable that is declared inside this for loop in the initialization, it is only available for use inside the loop block. That's what it means. Yes. Where do you want to do it? You can do it. You mean this, right? You can do it. Will it work? Yes. Why? Because now we have declared this outside the for loop. So the scope is of this method. So we can use I anywhere. So it's, if you note, it's just the initialization. It is optional, and we initialize the value. The declaration is optional. If we want to declare, we can declare it. If not, we won't. But here, if we declare it, the scope is only limited to this loop body. Yeah. Scope means like in English or whatever, the scope of variable is defined like where we can use this variable. What is the scope? Where we can access those variables, where we can initial, like where we can access it, where we can use it, that defines the scope of any variable. So like when we declared any variable private, we were not able to access it outside that class. We saw it, right? Why? Because the scope of that variable was only limited to that class. That's why only that class was able to access and use those variables. But to use that variable outside the class, what did we do? Public. Public, using public, private and all, we are defining the scope of the variable. And here int I equal to 2. Let's suppose there is another method. I can define it like this. Can I use I here? No. Why? Why? Because this I is declared in the inside this method, inside this main method. So this, its scope is only limited to this main method, not outside this method. Yes? If I do it like this, can I use it? But I'm not able to use it because it says you have to make the variable static. We'll study what, like we have seen what static means. But yeah, here you have to do it. Now if you do it, you can use. Now what's the scope of this variable? Now this class is the scope. So whatever methods, or all the methods of this class can access this I. But here I have defined, again I have declared the I here with 10. So what I should be printed? 10 or 2? 10? Here? What should I print? Come on, what should be the output? What should be the output? Huh? There are two print statements. 2 and 10. So how it will work? And here and this I will print. Huh? 2? Yes. Now can anyone tell me what we are doing it here? Why I has printed 10? How it works even though we have already defined I here? So even though if you define any variables, anything at the class level, method can have their own variables with the same name. So once you define a variable in the method with the same name as a class variable, and then again if you access it, you will get a methods variable. Simple. Got it? Okay. We were saying each component of the for loop is optional, and loop control variables are declared, are scoped to the loop and are only accessible within the loop body. We have seen this. And condition must become false, else there will be infinite looping. We have seen this example. If there is only one statement is there in the loop body, curly braces is not required. That we have seen in the if else block. Same here also. Now, can we use multiple variables in the for loop like this? Let's suppose we had number of rows, stars and all 3 variables. I want to define anything. Can I do it like this? Is it correct? No? Is correct. Hmm? Semicolon? Semicolon should be there. Huh? Here, while reading this identifiers variables, we have seen now we can always declare multiple variables. And if we want to initialize I1 with 10 and K1 with 30, we can do like this. And in the for loop, we have seen this should be a single statement with initialization, and since this is a single statement, we can use this like this. We can use it. Any doubt? So now what would be the variable? What would be the value of J1? What is the value of J1? What is the value? What will be the value of I1? 10. K1? K1? Huh? 30? Sure? You have seen this? Local variable may not have been initialized. We can't initialize like this. It is only just declaration, and here we are initializing I1, and here we are only initializing K1. But since it is a local variable, we need to initialize this with some value. Any doubts? So maybe someone might have thought it will be 30, might be because of this. Yes? Is it valid? What it is doing? It first assigned value 30 to K1, and then it assigned J1 the value of K1. The value of K1 is 30, so it assigned J1 as 30 value, and then it assigned I1 the value of J1 is 30. Right? Okay. So we have seen this example where we can use multiple variables in the for loop. Yes. Please go through this. Here in the initialization, we have used two variables. In the expression, we have seen we can use any of the variables. It should be just a Boolean expression. And in the updates also, we can use comma separated variables. Okay. Here the initialization, this is a Boolean expression, and this is the update. Here we are updating it. Any doubts? Okay. So we have seen this. These components are optional. Like in this case, what have we provided? Only condition. There is no initialization and there is no update. Initialization we have done here and update we have done here. So we have skipped this. And this we have already answered correctly, that it will result in the infinite loop because there is no condition, it always returns true. There is no initialization and there is no updates. So if there is no condition, it will always true. Which one? Yes. You tell me, will it be an infinite loop? No? Why? What will happen? Huh? Huh? This update is at the bottom. Yes, it's fine. It is fine. We can write any statement inside this block. Any statement can be there inside this block. It doesn't matter. But here, instead of writing here, we are writing it here. Now there is a special kind of loop for each loop. So it is an enhanced form of for loop. It provides a simpler way to iterate over elements in array and collections. So when we'll study array and collections, when we'll try to retrieve the values of arrays and collection, we will use for loop. It was introduced in Java 5, so it was not since starting. So this was an enhancement. So how do we access it? This is the scheme. This is the syntax: element, array, or collection. Okay. So what all component does it have? The element type. Element type, it's a data type. Okay. Data type of elements which are stored in array or collection. We'll see quickly, like the example of array. Elements is a variable. This element, it will be a variable that will hold the element's value during iteration. Okay. Array or collection is an array or collection over which we will perform an iteration. Let's take this example. So what we have done here? Come on. Array. Why it's an array? It defines an array. What does it mean? Int array numbers. Means list. So when we were doing this, we were holding only one value. This number can hold only one value, and here it will hold 10, right? But using this int bracket and numbers, this numbers can hold multiple int values. So now it will hold 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here number is holding only 1, but here numbers is holding 5 values, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of type. All should be of type. Now we are using for loop to iterate over each element of this number. So how many elements this number has? 5. Now we want to access each of the element 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So using for loop we will access like this. So what we are doing here is, it is the int is the, what is the int? Very good. Element type is the data type. What number will have? What is this numbers? This numbers is, no, this numbers, this is an array that we have defined. And what is this number? It is variable, yes, but what it will hold? Integer value of array, right? So now how it will hold the integer value of array with the for loop? So now this numbers has 5 values, and here doing this we will give one value at a time starting from first position. We debug it. This is numbers is an array. So here see 0, it's an index. So like for now you can see that at the first position you have 1, at second position 2, third position 3, fourth and 5. Now here after this condition is evaluated, what number will have? This number will have the first value of an array. Yes or no? Yes? Exactly. That's why it is called an enhanced for each loop. So Java automatically identifies that this is an array. Okay? And here what I have to do is I have to iterate over this array. This is why it is an enhanced. It will automatically identify कि okay, I have to iterate through each value of the array. and in the first iteration I will give the first value of an array and will store that value in what, where will I, where the Java will store that first value of an array? Huh? No, no, no. Where it will assign this number, right? And now it will again come here. Will the for loop will go to the body or it will break? Will go when it will break? After it iterates to complete list, then it will terminate, and then it will go outside the for loop body. So here this is a specialized for loop where we don't need to provide any of the terminating condition, any initialization and all. This we use to iterate through arrays or collections, right? So now if you it again, now what will the value of number? 2. 1, so we got it in the first iteration. Now it is the second iteration, we will get the second value of an array. It will print number 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, you all got it? Let's suppose this is the number. What should it print? 5214. Okay. So here how does it execute? It iterates over each element in the array or collection, and for each iteration the current element's value is assigned to the element variable that we have declared and defined here. We have declared here, right? So this will be so the current element's value is assigned to the element variable, and loop continues until all elements in the array or collection have been processed. And after it processes everything, it will automatically terminate and will go outside the for loop. So this for each loop, it automatically cycles through an array in sequence from lowest index to the highest. We'll study about index and all when we'll study about the array, right? So this iteration variable is in read only. So what do we mean by read only? Basically it will just provide a value, this number 5. We can't update, we can't do any operation which will update this array. Okay, it's just providing as a value to read. So any assignment to the iteration variable does not alter the array. Okay, what does it mean is, let's suppose I got number 5, and if I do number equal to 6, will my array will change? Will this array will change to 6? Yes or no? No. So it is saying it is only read only. If you assign any of the value to this number, it will not change the array. Okay. So there is one more concept called local variable type inference in a for loop. So it was introduced later in Java 10. So what it does, it allows us to declare local variables without explicitly specifying the variable's data type. So it allows the type of a local variable to be inferred from the type of its initializer. So what does it mean? Huh? What is the type here? Int. So what it is saying, it will not specify the type. It will not specify whether it is int or not. How will it come to know that it is int? By the array that we will provide. For example, this. It is failing. What is wrong here? Why it is failing? So what we are saying now ki we don't need to define int, it will work. What it is saying is where it allows to declare local variables without explicitly specifying the variable's data type. It allows a type of a variable to be inferred from the type of its initializer. So they should be able to infer from this numbers. So since number is storing int, it should automatically will infer from it that this number will also have int. But even then this is correct, but it is failing in my case. Why? Come on. See, it was introduced in Java 10. It was introduced in Java 10, but in my system I am using Java 8. That's why it is failing. Can anyone try this in their own IDE which has latest? Try it out. Working? Or it is printing? Okay. So why it is throwing error for me? Because I am using Java 8, but this feature is supported from Java 10. So to use it, the type of variable is specified as var, okay, and variable must be initialized. So if you want to use it here in the for loop, you have to initialize the var like this, okay, and then it will, how it will infer that it is an int. So here what you are doing is, here it's fine, you have defined an array and now it is iterating an array, it will work fine. But how it will work, why it is working? You can try in your code and it will work. Now tell me why it is working. Anyone? Why it is working? Huh? How it came to know that it is int? You have initialized it. It will work now. It's a good point, like you checked it, but yeah, it will work. Why? How it inferred it is int? By this initializer. This is the only thing it has, right? Since you are initializing by 0, it came to know ki okay, I will store int in the variable I. That's why it is saying type of variable is specified and as var, and variable must be initialized. Okay, because the type of a variable to be inferred from the type of its initializer. So type it will infer from the initializer. And for each we have seen how we will use var in the for each block. Okay, here is the number. Here is the code where we will use the var to iterate the numbers without defining int here. We can just have var and then it will infer from this numbers array that it will contain int. Any doubt? Okay, the last topic for jump statements.